Good morning, baseball fans. It is a Sunday, March 10th. Apparently, it is the day that you spring forward. I don't actually know these things because I'm not a smart human being. And before we started the show, Kelsey and I were talking about this, and it just got me more confused. Well, is it actually 9 o'clock in the morning, but not really? But then it's 10. I don't know. So,
I don't
anyhow, if
even
you are
know.
also confused like me, stick around. But I'm
Wrong.
Suzy. That is Kelsey. This is Bourbon and Baseball, all the balls edition. You know how we do here. Obviously, we don't have any baseball because it is Sunday morning, bright and early, and we have like things to do early, and we can't get blitz this early in the morning. I
Oh,
mean, we
yeah,
could,
no
but
bourbon,
no,
just espresso.
just the coffee. Yeah, I have my water, my trusty handy water thing over here. Water bottle.
Yeah.
That's what that word is, water bottle.
I
But anyhow,
also have some water with electrolytes because I thought for some reason that it would be a good idea to have multiple margaritas the night before we spring forward. Like, just not the time to do that, but we're
also,
good.
no, multiple margaritas are always a good idea, but apparently just not in the AM. But multiple margaritas at
No,
night,
not in the
totally.
morning. But I had them the night before. I then lost an hour of this day.
Where did it
Didn't
go?
didn't think
Did
that through.
Arizona find it? Arizona found
I
it.
think Arizona got our extra hour. I'm not really sure how the exchange works, but that sounds right to me.
Yeah. So if you're in Arizona and you listen to this podcast slash watch this podcast, let us know in the comments. Anyhow,
What
before
time
we
is it?
go
Where
on,
are
I'm
you?
going to right. I'm going to give you the rated R warning. This is a rated R
Do it.
podcast, not for the nudity because there is none on this show. Just all of the inappropriate adult humor and the cuss words. There will be probably many a cuss word, 4-letter words over here. If that's not your jam, that is okay. However, you should probably just turn this off right now because it is what it is over here. And I'm sorry, nobody pays me not to cuss. So that's what we're going to do. We got some stuff to talk about this week. The hot stove is less hot. It's like a lukewarm stove.
Yeah. Is it still
There
on?
are still some moves being made somewhere, some announcements and stuff. But before we get into that, we are going to do our 40 man find. Should
Yeah.
we do the 40 man find?
Let's do it.
I really don't want to do the 40 man find because of the team that I'm having to cover this week. So, Kelsey, you explain the 40 man find and you do the things because I don't want to do the things.
Well, we do have to cover each team. That is the commitment that we made as the 40-man find. We are going through each of the teams' 40-man rosters and finding a man to feature and tell you about on each of the 30 Major League Baseball clubs. I have been covering the American League teams to learn a little bit more about their rosters and the teams, and Susie has been covering the National League teams. And we are working our way up from the teams with the losing records, with the worst records, up to the teams with the best records. So we're now in all the playoff teams from last season. And yeah, Susie, I don't envy you today either, but surely again, it's more about the man, about the find, than the team allegiance at this point. So today we're going to cover the Tampa Bay Rays, which I've got for you, and then I'll kick it over to Susie to tell us about a Los Angeles Dodger that hopefully you haven't heard of, or is not Shohei Ohtani, because we know about him and about a lot of the Dodgers. So I'm interested to see who you did find on that 40 man. But first, I'm going to tell you about someone I found on the Tampa Bay Rays 40-man roster. And I was a little hesitant to pick this guy because I know I've done a few former Cardinals at this point, but he was only a Cardinal for a short period of time. And the main reason that I have to pick him for my 40-man find is that he's being picked by a lot of publications right now to be that like unexpected 26th man on the opening day roster for the Tampa Bay Rays. And that is outfielder Richie Palacios, Richard Jordan Palacios. He was born on May 16th of 1997 in Brooklyn, New York. I did not know that he was a New Yorker. But his father is of Puerto Rican descent and his mother is from Curacao. Curacao is an island in the Caribbean Sea. It's just north of Venezuela, but it is a constitute country of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And this makes so much sense to me now that I've learned this because Richie, along with his brother Josh, who we'll talk a little bit more about later, were seen representing Team Netherlands in the 2023 World Baseball Classic. And I didn't know how that aligned, but now it makes perfect sense because Curacao is a part of the Netherlands. Now we know. Anyway, Palacios attended Berkeley Carroll School in New York City, and he played college baseball at Towson University. In 2017, he played collegiate summer ball. We talked about these leagues a little bit last week. He was on the Bourne Braves of the Cape Cod League. And he was drafted by the Cleveland Indians, the then Cleveland Indians, now the Guardians, in the third round of the 2018 Major League Baseball draft. He made his professional debut in 2018 with the Lake County Captains, which are the single A team. They're in the Cleveland area. He batted .361 with 6 home runs and 30 runs batted in over 45 games. He didn't play in 2019 because he had a torn labrum, and he
Nope.
didn't play in 2020 because the minor league baseball season was canceled due to the pandemic. So he's not a guy who has a ton of like hard numbers in the minor league system or a ton of experience there. I mean, a lot of his big developmental years in his early 20s were missed out on at the major league system. Anyway, he started 2021 with the Akron Rubber Ducks in Akron, Ohio, double A team for the Guardians. And then he was promoted to the Columbus Clippers, which is their triple A team. Over 103 games between those two teams, he slashed 297, 404, and 471, hitting 7 home runs, 48 RBIs, 33 doubles, and 20 stolen bases. This was enough to get him noticed to get selected for the Guardians 40-man roster on November 19th of 2021 so that he could not be picked up by another team in the Rule 5 draft. And he started the 2022 season with AAA Columbus Clippers again, but was called up to the Guardians on April 25th of 2022, and he made his major league debut that day as a starting left fielder.
Ooh.
I believe he plays all 3 outfield positions. He definitely plays left field and center field because he played both of those positions for the Cardinals, but I feel like if you can play left field and center field, right field is typically the easier one, right? So he is a good utility outfielder. But it's cool that he got to start in his major league
Yeah.
debut. I don't know how common that is, but he
Well,
collected the first.
but
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
typically though, like if you play one of the lefts or the rights, if you
Mhm.
play the opposite one, I have been told that it takes a beat because it's like the opposite,
I would think so.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
typically, and I'm all,
Well, I'm
wait,
just
what? And
thinking
then
that
it makes sense. So
the Cardinals last season had poor Jordan Walker, not a career outfielder out there. They were like, we're going to make you an outfielder though. And then every other freaking game, he was on the other side. And it's maybe just pick one. And again, for everyone else too, for Lars Nootbaar, for Alec Burleson, like just let him get some solid reps on one side of the field because yes, I would think that
it's
would
like
be
the opposite way to go. You're like, wait, it's gonna break the other way. Hold on.
right, right.
No.
Just in terms of yeah, getting your bearings and tracking, I would think would be helpful to stay on one side. But
Yeah.
looks like we're gonna try that approach this season. But we'll get to that a little later on as well. Okay, so he's in the major leagues now. He gets his first career hit in that first game, a single off of Los Angeles Angels starter at the time, Michael Lorenzen, also still a free agent right now. Where's he going to go? He played 54 games in 2022 where he hit 232, 293, 286 with no home runs and 10 RBIs. So he starts out the 2023 season back in AAA in 56 games with the Columbus Clippers. He bats 217, 351, 318 with 3 home runs, 30 RBIs, and 6 stolen bases. I'm looking at this slash line thinking, and the fact that he's got a few home runs, I think here is where he started to tap into and work on adding some power and some pop. He was designated for assignment by the Guardians. And on June 16th of 2023, he was traded to the St. Louis Cardinals in exchange for cash consideration. So this is his window of time. He is joining the 91 loss, on track for a 90 loss season St. Louis Cardinals. Because by June, no one was as excited to be a St. Louis Cardinal as they typically are in that point in the season. But come on over, Richie P. In 32 games for the Cardinals in 2023, he batted 258, 307, 516 with 6 home runs and 16 RBIs. So in 54 games in 2022 in Major League Baseball, he had no home runs and 10 RBIs. And in just 32 games in 2023, he had 6 home runs and 16 RBIs.
Oh,
So yeah, I think that's an interesting thing to look at for him because over the course of his little spurts that he's had in Major League Baseball in 2022 and 2023, his OPS is not great. And I know that's something that a lot of people like to look at and just will write guys off one way or another using that statistic specifically. But he's had the game-changing moments when he gets the opportunity to do so. And he's a really solid outfielder overall as well. On August 21st of 2023, just days after he was called up from the minor leagues up to play with the Cardinals, his brother, Josh, who plays in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, and Richie got to play together for the first time ever in Major League Baseball when the Cardinals and the Pirates played each other. Such
oh,
a fun
fun.
story, especially at that point, again, in the Cardinals and the Pirates season. It was a great, feel good thing to enjoy about what was going on for both teams at that point in time. And in that first game, it was just really cool because, first of all, their parents are super adorable. And they were obviously at every game. They were always wearing, like, his mom was wearing a Pittsburgh Pirates jersey and a Cardinals hat. And then his dad was wearing like a Cardinals jersey and a Pirates hat. And
Oh,
yeah, they were
cute.
just the cutest. And they were really great talking with the broadcast and stuff like that. And obviously just super supportive and excited for both of them. But the brothers themselves are definitely highly competitive. And you can tell that they really love kind of the smack talk and they stepped up against each other here because Josh had a career game in this first game that they played in together. He went 2 for 4 with a home run and 5 RBIs, which is, I'm not featuring Josh Palacios on this episode, but he's not a 5 RBI a game kind of guy. So he was fired up, and he was like, I actually read in this article that from MLB.com that he was declaring his dominance on the field, and his mom was like giving him shit. Dude, Richie didn't even play because Richie came in as like a defensive replacement, I think later on in that game, and he did end up getting a hit, but he didn't start. He didn't have the opportunity to go 2 for 4. So his mom was like, "You need to settle down, Josh. Come on, at least play fair if you're gonna establish some dominance." But the next day on August 22nd, Richie hit a home run, which again, he's not a big guy. He's not a power hitter, but he hit a home run, and they definitely were like, Richie made a really good catch in one of those games too in center field. They were stepping up their game against each other, and you could just see that heightened level of excitement, which was pretty fun. The other big date and thing that I want to point out about Richie Palacios and why he is so near and dear to Cardinals fans' hearts, even though he was with us for such a short time, is on September 12th of 2023, Richie P helped Adam Wainwright secure a career victory 199 after it had eluded him for a 10-game losing streak. So he was stuck
I remember
at
that.
win 198 since June 17th. The man needed 5 wins or something coming into 2023 to
Yeah.
get to 200, and he got 198 on June 17th. We're like, "Oh, phew, no problem. He's got 15 more starts." Not even a blip on the radar that we were all gonna be like biting our nails that maybe he wouldn't even get to 199 at this point in the last couple weeks of the season. But Richie Palacios was a huge part of getting Wayno to win 199 and ultimately to 200 because he hit 2 home runs in that game that allowed Wayno to leave the game with the lead, which he needed to. There were a lot of those. The 10-game losing streak was him leaving with a 2-0 behind. It wasn't like he had a bad outing. It was just like they were not freaking scoring for him in a lot of those starts too. So as we all drew it up, Goldschmidt, Arenado, nope, Richie Palacios, baby, is getting those runs on the board for Adam Wainwright. So I think he was a valuable trade piece. I think this overall was a good trade for the Cardinals. I'm sure we covered it when it happened, but on January 5th of 2024, the Cardinals traded Palacios to the Tampa Bay Rays in exchange for relief pitcher Andrew Kittredge, who is expected to be a big part of the Cardinals bullpen this upcoming season. And yeah, it looks like he's super excited to be a part of the Rays organization. I think he definitely could be that 4th outfielder out there for them. He got custom-made Kobe Bryant cleats for this upcoming
Oh,
season, which are pretty sick. They're on his Instagram, and they're like bright yellow, and they're gonna look real cool with the Tampa Bay Rays getup. And he's also the co-founder of a brand called Built Different Athletes, which is I've yet to determine what it is. I don't think they've really had their hard launch yet, but he is promoting it on his Instagram. And the other thing that I just love about him is you're drawn to him immediately when you watch him play because he has like the biggest, brightest, most beautiful smile. He just has star energy. And he's one of those guys you want to root for. So Tampa Bay Rays fans, I think you're probably already onto him because he has a great social media presence on both Twitter and Instagram. And, he's fun to engage with in that way. But yeah, I think he could be a guy that you could see in, I hope, more than 50 major league games this season. I hope he gets a little more
so
playing.
he's their new, hopefully better Brett Phillips, is what you're telling me?
Absolutely, yes, yes, and he's
Okay.
got the Brett Phillips vibes all the way.
Okay, okay.
Yes, I love that
Brett
comparison.
Phillips was one of my absolute, like, not on my team favorite
Yeah,
players
yeah,
just because of that vibe. So, all right,
yes,
well,
he is
fingers
one of
crossed,
those
Tampa Bay
guys.
Rays that you get your new Brett Phillips because who wants to watch the White Sox? I'm very sorry,
Well, we
White
were
Sox
talking
fans.
about this right before we started recording, how obviously there's different ways to be a fan and different reasons to be a fan of players, and there are certain guys that you can have that emotional and vibe kind of tie to, and still not, like, well, I'm not gonna draft them on my fantasy team. So,
Absolutely.
I'm not, Brett Phillips is kind of one of those guys. Richie P, it might be one of those guys, but I also think I wouldn't be surprised if he is a guy that earns his way into more playing time at this point. He's 26 years old, and he's really just starting to get the opportunity to prove himself. So you never know.
All right. Well, I mean, fingers crossed for Richie P, and hopefully that hopefully that works out for you.
Oh, he's number 1 on the Tampa Bay Rays. He took the number
Really?
1, which I just think I don't in most franchises that number isn't even like available because it's been retired or I don't know. I feel
Right?
like Yeah, I
But it's
mean,
but it's Tampa though.
yeah,
What number was he with the Cardinals?
I don't even know, but I mean, Ozzie Smith was number 1, so there is no number 1.
Interesting.
Cardinals, let's see. He was probably a high random number. I don't even see he is 67 maybe? I think oh, yeah, he was 67 with the
Oh,
Cardinals.
okay.
Like,
So
he's
like a
definitely one of those over 60 numbers, yeah.
super random number. Okay, that's all right. I see. I never understood I guess the pecking order in which people get numbers or like whatever. Because obviously Aaron Judge is 99, and that's a very iconic
Yeah,
like
yeah.
number. And then I guess in football, depending on where your number is, you're a different position or something. And so I didn't know if that translated
Oh,
into like baseball or
I
whatever.
didn't know that.
But see, like Alex Bregman is number 2, and he's number 2 because he was picked second in the draft, and that's his
Oh,
reminder to himself that he was picked as the second pick. And I'm all, okay, all right. And then
whatever works for you.
when Kyle Tucker came into the Astros organization, he was number 3. But then after his second year, I want to say, he changed to number 30, and that's his number now. Like he's number 30.
Hmm.
And now Jeremy Pena is number 3. And so now I don't understand how the number things
I think it's
work.
yeah, I think it's probably a lot of it is personal preference, but also availability of the number, but that is weird that, like, he would have wanted to change numbers. I don't know, like, Paul Goldschmidt, who was obviously a superstar, level talent before he came onto the Cardinals, he was number
Mhm.
44 with the Diamondbacks, but there was, like I can't remember his name, there was, like, a relief pitcher who had made, like, 6 appearances or something ever over the course of a couple seasons on the
Uh-huh.
Cardinals who was 44 at the time, and he didn't want to, like, have to ask him to give up his number, so he just was like,
Oh,
I'll be 46, that's the closest number that's available."
oh,
Like,
that's
you're Paul
funny.
Goldschmidt, like, you can have your
Right.
number, dude.
That's hysterical.
I don't know,
Or I
he's
guess,
46.
Joe Kelly getting a freaking car
Yes.
from Shohei. So, yeah, it's interesting to see, all of the numbers and all
It's
of
fun.
the attachments, I guess, that guys get to numbers or I guess
Mhm.
not get to numbers. I don't know, because Jose Altuve has been 27 for, I guess, a really long time as when he came into the organization kind of deal. And so he's been number 27. So that's what it is. And I don't know. It's funny to me that the random numbers that people, I guess, or pick.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
so
everybody has kind of their own reason for it, or there's a lot of superstitions with numbers and stuff too, but it's funny now that we're talking about it, like, you say 27 and I'm like, Scott Rowland. There's some player, that you associate with
right.
every number.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's a great segue
That
into
you're not gonna
the
tell about Joe
player
Kelly, are you?
that I am no, I'm not going to talk about Joe Kelly. That I'm going to talk about on the Dodgers. And I don't want to be a responsible journalist, and at no point in time has anyone ever accused me of being a responsible journalist. So we're just going to skip the Los Angeles Dodgers. No, I'm just kidding. We're not. I am going to tell you about a guy on the Los Angeles Dodgers, and it is funny that we start talking about numbers because this number was specifically saved for this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And you know me. We're pandering. We're panderers. Panderers? I'm a panderer. That's not how you say it, but whatever. Japanese contingent, all of our Japanese listeners, you should know all of this information, but maybe if you are not of the Japanese descent or not a Dodgers fan, you may or may not know any of this information. So, the gentleman that I am going to tell you guys about on our 40 man find is none other than starting pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So, if you don't know who Yoshinobu Yamamoto is, yikes.
It's
That's
it's a
we're gonna
mouthful.
it is a mouthful. Apparently, fun fact, a fan gave him a Yoshi plush
I
doll
saw this,
that was like
yes.
stuck in his locker, and now he is okay with the nickname Yoshi, which he was apparently on the fence of before
I
this,
could
and
see that, yeah.
now he's okay with it.
Okay.
Side note, don't call Masataka Yoshida Yoshi because he is not a fan of it. He will not. That is not a thing that he is appreciative of. So, Yoshinobu Yamamoto is a 25-year-old right-handed pitcher. He was born August 20th, excuse me, August 17th. I'm dumb. August
Oh,
17th, 1998. He is 25 years old, and obviously he made his name, big splash here in the United States by signing a 12-year, $1 gajillion contract. No, I'm just kidding.
for exactly
Uh,
$1 gajillion.
yes. A
Of
12-year,
that improvement.
$325 million contract on December 27th, 2023 for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And unlike Shohei, though, he is getting his money
Yeah.
as it comes. So I will tell you guys that in just a minute. However, Yoshinobu Yamamoto was a professional baseball player in the Nippon Japanese League. He debuted on August 20th, 2017, 3 days after his 19th birthday for the
Ooh.
Oryx Buffaloes
Oh my
of the
gosh.
Pacific League. Yeah. He finished the 2021 season with an 18-5 record with 206 strikeouts. 206 strikeouts across 193 and two-thirds innings pitched. It's a
Damn.
lot of it's a lot of strikeouts, guys.
A lot of K's.
His 1.39 earned run average led the league for the season. I'm like, "Oh, okay, look at you, freaking Yamamoto." So, Pacific League, Central League, American League, National League, if you guys didn't get that reference. So, he has won the Pacific League Most Valuable Player 3 times in his career. He has won the IG Sawamura Award, which is kind of like our Cy Young Award, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you some differences, major differences
Cool.
in that, and a 3-time Triple Crown winner, obviously for the pitching side, not the hitting side. So, in that 2021 season, Yamamoto, like I said, won the Pacific League Most Valuable Player. On June 18th of 2022, Yamamoto threw the year's 4th no-hitter and the 97th in NPB history, pitching the Buffaloes to a 2-0 win over the Saitama Seibu Lions. That is also a mouthful.
Yeah.
In 26 starts for the Oryx Buffaloes in 2022, Yamamoto registered a 15-5 record with a minuscule 1.68 ERA with 205 strikeouts and 193 innings pitched. Following the season, he was named the Salmore Award winner for the second consecutive season. He also won his second consecutive pitching triple crown. So here I'm going to tell you guys the difference between what the Sawamura, the Japanese league, essentially, Cy Young Award is between this. So in order to win the Sawamura Award in the NPB, the starting pitcher has to have these 7 criterias. Games started, 25 or more, 15 or more wins, 10 or more complete games, a winning percentage of 600 or higher, 200 or more innings pitched, ERA of 2.5 or lower, and 150 or more strikeouts. So essentially, these are the 7 criteria that the pitchers are judged on. And
Yeah.
so they will basically put all of the pitchers in here and see how many of the pitchers complete the most of these criteria.
Okay.
And so herein lies the difference. Or if there are no pitchers in any of the leagues that fit the criteria or the majority of the criteria,
Mhm.
the award is just not given out that year.
Yeah.
So I'm
I
all,
mean,
"Hmm, okay." So, obviously the Asian culture,
I
Japanese
was gonna
culture
say that
in
that's
and
a
of
culture
itself is
thing.
not a participation trophy culture,
Yeah.
let's just say. So they're like, "None of you are good enough for this award. None of you get
Yep.
it."
I mean, hey.
So, they are not diluting their award down. Not saying that the Cy Young is diluted down. I'm just saying that at no point in time are the Japanese being like, "Oh, so nope, not enough, not enough
Yeah, everyone
boxes
by
checked.
default.
Nobody gets it." So, he has won the Sawamura Award 3 years consecutively. That's a little
And
insane,
yeah,
just
not by default, to your point.
so, and like I said, he has also been a 3-time Triple Crown winner, the pitching Triple Crown. If you guys are not familiar with the pitching Triple Crown, like I was not, the pitching Triple Crown refers to the pitching achievements in leading a league in wins, strikeouts, and ERA, as
Okay.
opposed to the, position player side where it's home runs, batting average, and home
RBIs.
runs, batting average. I'm sorry?
RBIs.
RBIs, thank you. I'm like, there's one more, I know it.
It's just eluding
So, I was when I read that in the Triple Crown, I'm all, he's not a hitter. If he was, we would be
me.
putting him up there with Shohei. What's and I was like, "Oh, just kidding. There's a pitching Triple Crown too, Susie. Good job."
Well, I wonder if I don't you don't hear the pitching triple crown talked about here, and I wonder if it's just because has I'm anytime you're like, "Has anyone ever done that?" Of course they have it. Everything has happened in Major League Baseball, over, its long, long history, but and wins are also, like, not considered what they used to be, so
Right.
I could see it maybe not being as like, maybe quality starts would be a thing instead. I don't know, but that
Yeah.
is interesting. I wonder how often it happens there comparatively to here. I mean, it's
Yeah.
man, I wanna really look more into that now that 10 complete games.
Yeah.
I
So, I'm
Those
wondering
are
though
like
if
10
if
total
that's one of
starts
the
in Major League
categories that,
Baseball.
like, not all the pitchers
Oh, for
have, like,
sure.
checked. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they've only gotten, like, 6 of the 7 categories, and that's one of the things, but
But they
yeah,
also have 6
obviously
days rest, right?
Yes.
And maybe
So
that's part
they
of it, is they're more
mhm,
invested in longer outings, but I
yeah.
don't know.
But also they don't the travel is not as bad, obviously, because Japan is
Oh, yeah, that's a good
tiny, and so they don't really have to worry about time zones
point. Mhm.
and, all of that. It's so
Yeah.
again, it is a little bit different here. This is one of the awards that I was kind of interested in because I hadn't heard it before, but apparently he has won the Best Battery Award with catcher
Oh, that's
Kenya
cool.
Watasuki
Hmm,
3 times, 20
wow.
21, 22, and 23. So, oh, you have a favorite catcher. I don't know enough of about the Oryx Buffaloes to know if Martin Maldonado is just a black hole of suck at the plate, but obviously just a very good catcher. I don't know these things. So if you are a connoisseur of the Oryx Buffaloes and you know this, please let me know. I would love to know that. But yeah, I did. I found that very interesting that they have a best battery award because
Yeah,
obviously we don't have anything like that here. It would be interesting to see what those judging criteria would be.
yeah.
Um, so on September 9th of 2023, Yamamoto threw his second NPB career no-hitter, blanking the Chiba Lot Marines. In doing so, he became the first pitcher in NPB history to throw no-hitters in consecutive seasons. Oh, all right. Look at you just doing all of the things in Japanese history. I love that for you. In in that same year, Yamamoto pitched game 1 of the 2023 Japan series when he surrendered 7 runs en route to an 8-0 loss. Apparently, he did not have it that day.
Whoa.
He followed that up with a game 6 performance in which he threw 138 pitches for a Japan series record 14 strikeouts as the Buffaloes tied the series
Damn.
at 3 games apiece with a 5-1 win. He said, "JK, sorry guys, that first game's on me. I done fucked up. Let me just show you what I can do to make up for that." So, that's
Wow.
hand up. Yeah.
Seriously, that's
On
crazy.
November 5th of 2023, on that same day as the Buffaloes game 7 and series deciding defeat at the hands of the Hanshin Tigers, the Buffaloes announced that Yamamoto would be posted to the MLB. And if you guys aren't aware, when the teams post a player, when the Japanese teams post a player, whatever team obviously gets said player has to pay a posting fee to the Buffaloes. And that posting fee is a percentage of the overall contract. So obviously, because Yamamoto's contract was so very, very high, the Dodgers paid a $50.625 million posting fee to the Oryx Buffaloes.
Wow.
Oh, all right. Love that for you. So, just in case you guys aren't aware of Yamamoto's contract, he apparently, if he suffers an elbow injury between the years of 2024 through 20, a $10 million club option is added in 2020 is added in 2036. There's no buyout. And he receives a $50 million signing bonus to be paid as $20 million on February 1st of this year. So he received his $20 million in February. And then a $30 million other chunk on July 1st, 2024. I assume that is broken up because of tax rate issues.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not again, this is not a math
Not
pod.
to pretend to know.
So I assume that is why, but if anybody knows, please let me know. So he has his first player opt out in his age 31 season in the year 2030. And so he can opt out then and then he can opt out again in 2032. If he remains with the Dodgers his entire career, he will become a free agent in his age 37 season in the year 2030. News and notes on the Yamamoto to the Dodgers thing. Apparently, he was offered more money by other clubs, but he specifically chose to come to the Dodgers because of Shohei and
Boo.
that camaraderie to have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
fellow countryman to, I don't know, pal around with.
I do think that that's I mean, we can only imagine, right, what that would be like coming to a different country, the culture, not even speaking the language, and yeah, I can imagine just comfortability-wise that it will serve both of them well and,
Yeah.
you know, just change
So
things for them, so
apparently his sister is also a teacher in Japan, an English teacher in Japan.
oh,
So
cool.
he actually knows quite a bit of English, and the different articles that I was reading basically said that probably within his second year of being on the Dodgers, he will probably be able to speak fluent English,
That's
which
incredible.
is obviously a little mind blowing to me growing up here in the United States where English is all you know and there's really not a second language that is spoken anywhere.
Yeah.
But in foreign countries, you're learning your native tongue, quote unquote, and then English as well. So the fact that, he's just doing all of the things is impressive. Obviously, if you've not heard about his interesting training tactics, he is not a big man. He is 5'10". We stand a short king, obviously. And he is very limber. He does a lot of yoga, a lot of calisthenics. He does a lot of training with a javelin type instrument. And it says it helps him with his mechanics and basically keeping all of his things limber. It's been so interesting that Mookie Betts, side note, now shortstop of the Dodgers, Mookie Betts. Not second base. No. Not right field, shortstop. Mookie Betts, we'll talk about that in a second as well, has now started working out with Yamamoto and his trainer, doing the various workout routines with Yamamoto
Okay.
because
Yeah, I do think it's weird that I've read and heard many times now that Yamamoto does not lift weights at all. Like he does not
at all.
believe in it, and I am a big, promoter of lifting weights. So I for a number of reasons, but I'm also, not a $300 million athlete, and I don't know. I'm interested to see how it serves him. And obviously the javelin thing that he's using is a form of weighted training. So it's not like
Yeah.
he's just not lifting weights in the sense of functional strength training. So I mean,
So
clearly it's working for him. So.
yeah, so the quote by Mookie Betts, he says, "I don't necessarily know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of doing it and I feel good. So we'll see." 31-year-old Betts said. The whole thing is interesting. You're never too old to learn. You're never too good to learn. He's won what? 3 most valuable player awards and 3 Cy Youngs in Japan? I mean, he's all world. So why would you not at least be open-minded on it? I've got 9 years left. I'm going to make the best of the 9 years that I can. So, and then
I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just Mookie
yeah.
Betts, and I can do whatever the hell you need me to do. That's hilarious.
So the ending line to this article cracks me up because he says, "But he could benefit from having a little more flexibility as he transitions from right field to second base this season." Obviously, this article was written before the
Mm.
transition from second base to shortstop. And everyone, we talk about spring training is don't look at the results, blah blah blah, but everybody was making a huge deal about Yamamoto's first spring training outing where he basically, I want to say, struck out like 6, didn't allow an earned run, blah blah blah. The second start, not so good, not so good, and a lot of that was due to that infield defense. Gavin Lux, we're looking at you, and this, I guess, but enticed the move from second base to shortstop, and now they just flip flop. So now Gavin Lux will be second base, and Mookie Betts will be shortstop. Max Muncy is still at third. What you gonna do? I don't know. Mookie Betts hasn't played shortstop since his senior year of high school, which, he says he's 31 years old. So that was a while back. Just saying. But anyhow, it's a little wrap up of Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I tried finding like news and notes not related to baseball, maybe telling you about his personal life or any fun things like, no, I couldn't find anything besides a sister that is an English teacher because apparently his dating life also is very private. So he has one. Don't know.
Mm.
Don't know.
I am trying to remember which player it was who on foul territory who had played with him, and they were talking about, I can't remember who it was, but he did share that Yamamoto, and we've already kind of seen this in the way that he's showing up with the Dodgers. Like he is definitely a bigger, more outgoing personality than Shohei Ohtani. Not
Mhm.
surprised he was born in the middle of August, fellow Leo. He's got that Leo energy for sure. And oh man, I feel like it was one of the hosts, and that's of foul territory, not Kratz or Todd, who are on like all the time, but I just can't remember who it was and what their relationship was. But he was saying that he definitely knows how to spend some money and have a good time. And it sounds like he might be a little bit more of a showman and a showy guy than Shohei. But that'll be a fun dynamic to watch too. So as much as we have shared our thoughts and disgusts for one team getting all the Japanese stardom and awesomeness, I do think it will be cool in a lot of ways for fans all over the world to see them play together.
Yeah. I will wake up at 4 a.m. if needs be
Yeah.
to watch this. So, but a guy that we don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. to watch play this season, Kels, is none other than Zach Wheeler.
Well, we might have to because he is going to London in June, and
Oh,
here
that's
will be
right.
6 hours ahead. So I bet we'll probably have a 6 a.m. game there. I don't know. They might all be at night. Anyway, we've talked
Maybe.
enough about time differences. Zach Wheeler is not worried about any of that because he is
Yep.
collecting $126 million over the next 3 seasons in the extension that he signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. And that is I mean, we were expected Zach Wheeler to get paid, of course. I don't know that anyone was expecting him to get paid that much.
No.
This is takes him up through his 36-year-old season.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what I was expecting was a little bit a longer contract, probably less
Yeah, spread out a little more,
AAV.
sure.
And
Mhm.
so, but I mean, 36,
Oh, then
it
he's
was the
gonna
stuff that
sign
Zach Wheeler
a one-year
had.
deal with the Cardinals in 2027,
Yeah.
is what I heard. Yeah.
That's what you heard. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
He'll be in his prime then to come on
Yeah.
over to the Cardinals.
This is this is true. This is true. Maybe then he'll get ejected in a spring training game. We don't know. Don't know. Maybe that's the
We'd
deal.
only be so lucky.
Yeah. But Zach Wheeler, I again was not aware that before Zach Wheeler to the Phillies, obviously, he was with the Mets and none of the Mets peoples, nobody on the Mets expected Zach Wheeler to go off like this. And
Yeah.
I again, we know that there is a before baseball Suzy and an after baseball Suzy. And apparently, there was just Zach Wheeler to the Mets. I'm all, it was Zach Wheeler on the Mets? What? He was not
But no one
good.
cared about
Not
him.
good. Went to the Phillies. Turned into good. And I was like, oh, okay. Just kidding. So co-ace, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, y'all are just gonna just have all of the fun there in Philly. Hopefully. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe the D-backs blank you again. We don't know. We'll see.
But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of glad that that got taken care of because it's just one of those things, kind of like the Aaron Nola free agency this offseason, where I guess we knew it was going to happen. It's surely what he wanted to happen, and I don't know. I'm glad it's not like going to be a Jordan Montgomery, Blake Snell situation where we're waiting it out, and it seems like it worked out to be what both sides wanted. So,
Yeah.
congrats, Zach Wheeler, setting that free agent market for starting pitching, though, still higher and higher.
Yeah.
Leaves me with little hope for my fandom. But I was surprised that somebody who's not necessarily getting paid the big bucks is Eddie Rosario, formerly of the Braves, has now signed a minor league deal with the Nationals that is worth up to $4 million, but it's a minor league deal. And I know a lot of
Yeah.
that is probably at the point in the offseason that we are at, but Eddie Rosario is like an above average, not even an average major league
Yeah.
player. Like, he would be, I think, overall as a like well-rounded player, which he is, above average, and he's on a
Yep.
minor league deal.
But I feel like there's been kind of like a bunch of those,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Well, we say he's above average. Apparently he is not. Kels, the eye
No?
test the eye test is lying to us. Last season in his 2023 year, he was literally his OPS plus was 100. So
Mm.
he is literally an average MLB player.
Yeah, but
He threw
255
1.1 more.
batting average, which
Yeah.
is a little above average. 21 home
Yeah.
runs. I mean, he had over 20 home runs,
Yeah.
74
That
RBIs.
he has a career 104 OPS plus, so
Yeah.
a tiny bit better than average.
Especially that it's a minor league deal with the Nationals. Like, surely they could use an Eddie Rosario on their big league roster, and I'm sure they will. It's just weird.
Yeah. Well, you would have thought that, the Astros play the Nationals 43 times in spring training because we share a
Oh, yeah.
complex. And so you would think that we would see Eddie Rosario at some point in time, but we've yet to see Eddie Rosario in any of these games. So maybe in the upcoming games we see Eddie Rosario. I don't know. We've just seen a lot of the younger players. So I don't even know what's happening with
Yeah.
that.
Well, this really just happens like what, Wednesday or Thursday, so he might still be making his way to camp. And another
Yeah,
guy
I know it got signed, but have they announced it yet? I don't think they announced it.
hasn't
Or did
announced
they just
announced
announce
yet.
just
They would.
announce
I assume that they would announce.
anyways, we're going to tell you about all of the starting pitching injuries, though, because there's been many. The supposed ace of the Boston Red Sox lineup, Lucas Giolito, is out pretty much this entire season. We shall see when he gets his surgery, and depending on when that is, maybe out for the following year
Yeah.
as well. But Giolito signed a 2-year contract. Do you remember what that was worth, Kelsey? I don't remember what that was worth.
Not off the top of my head. Let me pull it up real quick.
But he was signed for 2 years, so
Yeah,
he has that, I
38.5
guess.
million.
Yeah, he has that guarantee coming in, but the fact that Giolito was supposed to be that ace starting pitcher for them and literally was signed because he was durable and was an innings eater, just
Yeah.
another shot to the gut for you Boston Red Sox fans, and I'm very sorry about that. But
Yeah, brutal.
yay, you signed Bryan Bello to an extension?
I mean, I'm
Like,
glad that they did this
shining star?
for
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
more than anything. But yeah, Bryan Bello got a 6-year, $55 million deal with a $21 million club option for 2030. And yeah, he's not even 25 years old yet. He has already shown some promise at the major league level. He had a 4.24 ERA in 28 starts last season, 132 strikeouts, and 157 innings. I can't say I've watched this guy pitch a ton. Susie, what do you know about him?
He's got electric stuff. He's young though. He's young. He was their only ace, quote unquote, last season.
Mm.
Apparently doesn't do well in day games.
Oh, okay.
That was the fun kind of deal last season. Only pitches well in night games. Apparently in day games, just not great. Or maybe it was the other way around. One
He
of
had some kind of a split though. That's
Yeah,
I always
day
find that
games
stuff
versus
really
night games.
fascinating. That's something that I like, feel like I pay more attention to than I'm always like, "Oh, well, it's the middle of the day. Of course Michaelis is gonna be terrible." I don't know why that's just something that
Well, and
it's like,
I
"No,
mean,
no,
we
it's okay."
know that baseball players, pitchers especially are creatures of habit.
So
So,
routine.
you know, throwing that off. So I think maybe it was day games that he was horrible at because obviously it throws your rhythm off. But he is their youngest pitcher and, hopefully that him plus the core that they're trying to bring up in 2025 maybe will be great for the Red Sox. I don't know.
Is
But
that what's gonna be featured in the Netflix documentary? Their up and coming starting
if
rotation?
if you even see them, because 'cause they're not even with the big club, so I don't
Right.
even know. I feel like now that Bryan Bello got this extension, he will probably be more prominently featured in
Yeah,
said
yeah.
Netflix documentary. I know that there's been some run about, like, Tristan Casas and some of those guys that are younger, like, uh, Pavetta. We don't know, but Pavetta's gonna be, like, a free agent in the so it's just I don't know, Boston Red Sox. I feel very very sad for you.
It's
It's
just
just
gonna be like Tyler O'Neill bench pressing
yeah.
for like 15 minutes of each of the episodes.
Probably, probably. But another unfortunate starting pitching injury, Kodai Senga of the New York Mets. Met fans are just in shambles because they're like, "What are we doing here?" That's
Yeah.
very sorry. But Kodai Senga had a anterior capsule strain in his right shoulder,
That
and
sounds
shoulder injuries
like
are
very
never fun for starting pitchers.
yeah.
So apparently he has received some PRP injections and but he is going to start the season on the IL. Apparently he's going to be on the IL for quite a while.
Yeah.
They really haven't put a timeline on it, but the fact that it is like quite a while. Oh, I'm so sorry about that for you guys. So hopefully he's not out as long as they are assuming like whispers have been like you won't see him until May. I'm all, oh my God. All right. Like now who's your
I
quote
think
unquote
that
ace?
would be fortunate at this point from I
Yeah.
don't know, and it's so hard because we are analyzing what we hear, what the team is willing to share with us and what the media is putting how the media is analyzing it too. But honestly, like they're going to put out whatever narrative they want us to consume about it. So the thing with
Yep.
injuries is it's so hard to speculate because we only have the information that the team wants us to be privy to, and there's a lot of reasons for that. So I don't know, especially with starting pitchers, I just always assume the worst and are like, yeah, well, see you in 2025. I don't know. But
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. So like I said, hopefully he comes back for the Mets quicker than what is projected, quote unquote, because I guess Quintana is now the ace of that staff.
probably.
And
Yeah, and I mean, again, if he was on the Cardinals, absolutely. Ace, 32, 33 years old,
yeah. But
amazing. He would be our youngest starting pitcher. I like Quintana a lot, and I think he is underrated potentially, but that being said, he's not your number 1 on a playoff contending team. That is
so well,
quite the blow.
uh, we will keep you guys apprised of that. Kyle Bradish of the Orioles, this kind of felt like a gut punch when we heard this because, they had just signed Corbin Burns and everyone was saying, "Oh, that 1-2 of Corbin Burns and Kyle Bradish." And then Kyle Bradish goes down with in case you aren't familiar, Kyle Bradish went down with a sprained UCL. And I caution you guys, Baltimore Orioles fans, if you are out there, to be very leery of this injury because as of 5 days ago, he is playing catch from 140 feet out with a sprained UCL. I want you, again, to be leery of this because this injury is essentially what Lance McCullers tried to play through the first time around.
Yeah.
And then, we got like 10-ish, 10 starts out of him, I think. And then he went out because it just all the way, all the way. So I don't know which level of UCL sprain this is,
It's a
because there are,
sprain, not a strain?
yes,
Okay.
sprained, yes. So, like I said, there are different levels of it. It doesn't say which
Yeah.
level this is, but there are different levels of it, and apparently when McCullers got his fixed, they said that it was a higher level than what they had originally saw in the imaging. So, like, when they went in to go fix it, they were like, "Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely much, much worse." So,
Hmm.
apparently they have to put him on the 60-day injured list, and obviously he won't be ready for the opening day,
Yeah.
but I feel like with this injury and the guy that we're gonna talk about next, you guys, Orioles fans, would probably rather have, later on in the season, Kyle Bradish versus earlier in the season, Kyle Bradish. So, fingers crossed that everything goes well for his recovery and it's not as bad as Lance McCullers' injury was ever. So,
Yeah,
fingers
it's
crossed.
really hard not to compare to prior situations too. Obviously, everybody's is a little bit different, and again, we only know what is shared with us, but that is exactly where my mind goes anytime we hear about an injury is like, "Oh, I know that this exact same messaging, was what we heard from
Mhm.
another guy," and unfortunately,
Yep.
that's kinda where your mind goes to, and I'm sure there are other people on the team thinking that exact same thing. You just
Yes,
never know.
you hear Justin Verlander goes down with an injury and will start the season on the IL. Now, if you are not an Astros fan, if you do not follow the Astros as closely as, your girl here does, you will probably be like, "Oh my god, the world is ending." No, no. The literal only reason JV is on the IL is so that we can bring up another starting pitcher, aka probably Ronel Blanco, since Spencer Arrighetti got shelled, on to the roster without having to move anyone off of our 40-man roster. Okay?
Mhm.
That's literally the only reason JV is on the IL. He will not be ready for opening day, and the only reason he will not be ready for opening day is because they just don't have the time to get him prepped and
He did
throwing
this last
as
season, right?
I'm sorry?
He did the same thing last season, right? He ramped
Well,
up.
last season he was with the Mets.
Oh, yeah, but I think he did the
Yeah.
same thing, whereas it was a whole headline then, Justin Verlander's on the IL to start, but it
Oh,
was it was
yeah.
almost like a
I think it
personal
was
preference, like slower ramp up
yeah.
thing.
So, it's not an issue for us over here in Astros land. So
Yeah.
if you guys not in Astros land would like to make it an issue, by all means, that's fine. Keep underestimating us. We'll be okay. I think Fromber will be our opening day starter. And again, we have 94 starting pitchers when Luis Garcia will come back and Lance McCullers Jr., I don't know, will maybe come back at some point, and then we're just gonna have just a glut of starting pitching. So don't worry about us. JV is fine.
Since we're talking about our teams, yeah,
Yeah.
Sonny Gray has a hamstring strain, and we don't have all the starting pitching. We have all of the oldest starting pitching in the league. It was already problematic, and Sonny Gray is the only one who is not a 5 starter at best in our rotation. I feel bad saying that, but it's just the truth. Fortunately, I just said, when I hear of injuries, I immediately assume the worst and I don't care what anyone else is saying. I'm just like, no, Sonny, we're going to be lucky if we see Sonny Gray by May, sort of thing. But then I heard him on foul territory, and the way that he was describing it was very much as like a proactive sort of thing, like just being really cautious. And he actually explained the exact mechanics in a very digestible way for especially somebody like me who is into all of that nerdiness, that it made a lot of sense about what happened to him. And I took it much less as like a, oh my God, we're not even going to see this guy pitch in the first of his 3-year deal with the Cardinals. But yeah,
So
in a weird
you
way,
can talk about it this
I
week as
can
if it's a
talk
last
about it.
week thing.
Yes,
You're
I'm
just not
willing to speak about it
okay.
because Sonny Gray made me feel better. And I don't think he would have said the things that he said and even spoken about it nearly. I mean, he was super open about it if he genuinely was not concerned about it. I even think like he might still be able to pitch by opening day. Certainly not going to hold my breath for it, but it was weird. It was one of those rare times where I was like, "Oh, now that we've actually heard from the athlete, I feel like the media almost overblew it." And
What? The media overblowing the things? No.
well,
No.
normally I heard John Mozeliak speak about it, the president of the Cardinals, and he made it sound more concerning to me, even in his whole, it's not something we're super concerned about. We're not going to promise they'll be ready for opening day. And I was like, no, he's just rip the band-aid, Mo. Just tell it like it is. He's out until the All-Star break. But
That's so funny.
and then again, people were comparing it to when he had a hamstring strain years ago with the Twins. And it's no, no, no. Like that doesn't mean just because it's the same, like a hamstring strain is a very broad term. So
Right.
again, we can compare it even to the same athlete and it might not be the same thing. But yeah, after hearing him speak to it, he gave me the details I needed to hear and he did not have to do that. So I appreciate you, Sonny Gray. I love you even more. And I will wait for you. I believe in you.
Well, that's like I said, hopefully all of the Bengay and the vibes, we send all of that to Sonny Gray, and fingers crossed. Who is the opening day starter? Is it Lance Lynn?
Oh, no, it's likely Miles Michaelis. He was the opening day starter last year for the Cardinals because Adam Wainwright was on the injured list. So it's probably Miles Michaelis. I would assume, again, it's more about matchup than, how we're gonna
Seniority or
stack them. But
anything like that? Yeah.
well, for Michaelis, it would definitely be seniority. But even in, I mean, he's the closest thing we have to a two for sure. Maybe Steven Matz is gonna step it up. I
Didn't Steven
feel
Matz get shelled last night? Again, spring training numbers. I know he's probably working on something. I don't
he's
know.
throwing really hard though, harder than he's, like, really ever thrown for, so look out. You never know. Steven Matz plus velocity equals Cy Young. If you're
I
not
didn't
watching on YouTube, you can't see me cracking up at myself, but
Admittedly, I didn't watch the Cardinals start. All I saw was that the Cardinals got shelled and that Steven Matz was the pitcher that gave up the most runs. So I
yeah.
don't know if it was he getting hit hard? Was he walking people? What
No,
was
I
the
think he was trying out some stuff because he definitely, looked different, especially on the radar gun than he normally does. So that's I didn't watch it, I just observed the box score and some of the headlines, but yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't really matter how much I can talk myself into, him having a better season than he's had. Even if he has a better season than what we've seen from him
right?
thus far, he's still a 4 or 5 guy. That's who he is. That is who Kyle Gibson has been at his best. That is who Lance Lynn is over 35. Like, it is what it is. So no, Miles Michaelis is our best hope, and he also is again, a career 4 or 5 guy who is on the wrong side of not just 30, but 35 at this point. But he's
Yeah.
our that I'm not kidding you when I say the Cardinals have Sonny Gray and 4 number 5 starters at best. That is the makeup of the starting rotation. There is no way around it. I had Nick Pollock of Pitcher List on my episode of Peace, Love, and Baseball coming out this week, and I talked to him about the Cardinals starting rotation. And I was like, I feel bad because I feel negatively about it. I want to be a positive baseball fan. He was like, no, I mean, like, you have no, it's bad. You're allowed. I was like, oh great, okay, cool. I gotta go. So I'm not
That's a
trying to be I'm
stereotypical
not trying
thing.
to be negative. That's not who I am as a fan. I am still looking forward to watching the team play, but I am very aware of the reality. And without Sonny Gray, like, we might lose more than 90 games. Truthfully, that is the reality. But,
I mean,
what do you do?
maybe maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We shall see.
It is
Maybe
interesting because we have very different the way that our teams specifically are built. It's gonna be interesting to see that play out in real time as they start to play because our teams are built opposite in a lot of ways.
wildly different.
So we will see. We will get to compare all season long.
We'll see how the Cardinals fare with that.
You're
I
like,
I
"I'm
don't know.
uncomfortable talking about how much your team sucks. Can we talk about something else?"
Yeah, let's move on to something a little bit happier because last episode, Kels, we begged the baseball gods,
We did.
any of the major league teams, to please, for the love of poodles, sign Joey Votto. We asked the Angels to, we asked the White Sox to. Neither one of those teams listened. However, someone did. Someone did listen, and Joey Votto is going back to his home country, and it's going to be a little bit weird seeing him in blue. However, Joey Votto signs a minor league deal to the Blue Jays. To the Blue Jays. If
Thank you,
I
Blue
knew the
Jay.
Canadian anthem right now, I would be singing
Oh,
that. Oh,
Canada.
uh,
That's all I know.
side note, the only reason I know that is because of South Park.
I don't know why I know it.
That's the only reason I know, and it's the big guys. It's the big guys with the mouths that are all the way across. If you guys watch South Park, you guys will know what I'm talking about. Anybody that doesn't watch South Park is now, oh my god, Susie, what the actual fuck? But yeah, so Joey Votto to the Blue Jays on a minor league deal. Now, granted, he was not Joey Votto last season, not even the season before that because he was hurt, right? He's not
Right.
been played great the last 2 seasons. But I need you to know, people. I need you to know if you are not aware of Joey Votto, if you are new to the sport and just kind of see this version of Joey Votto, you're like, what are you people doing? No, Joey Votto, no. I need you to come with me on this journey because I also had to go on this journey. That Joey Votto was a badass motherfucker.
Got
Badass.
it.
Okay. His career OPS plus is a 144, guys. Okay. On base plus slugging, adjusted for the park, that's what the plus means. 144. He is amazing. And again, I miss Joey Votto in his peak Joey Votto-ness, and that makes me very sad. Joey Votto is a first baseman. So obviously we know who plays first base for the Blue Jays. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. not a defensive wizard over there. That's fine. They didn't really sign him to be a defensive wizard. However, the stick not sticking though, because his stick was not as good as one had hoped over the last couple of seasons. So I don't know if they kind of move and shift everybody around because if you guys remember, Blue Jays also signed Justin Turner, IKF.
Yeah.
So projected Fangraph roster resource has Justin Turner in the DH spot and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa playing third and Kevin Biggio playing second. So I'm almost wondering, though, if they slot in Joey Votto at DH, moving Justin Turner to third, and then slotting IKF from third to second, and relegating Kevin Biggio to the bench.
It's not a bad
That's what I'm
problem for them to have those options for
Yeah.
sure.
Blue Jays fans right now that are listening that obviously watch the Blue Jays day in and day out are now screaming at me. What about Santiago Espinal? And what about Davis Schneider? Yes, I know all of these things about those guys. I'm just saying that the Blue Jays apparently don't maybe really think about them in that way. I don't know. Tell me, Blue Jays fans. Tell me in the comments on the YouTubes or slide into my DMs on Twitter or just at me on Twitter. That's fine too. Just start a dialogue. Tell me.
Yeah, because
Where do
obviously
you
we
see Joey Votto
follow.
slotting in?
Yeah, we follow all of the teams, but we follow. I follow the Cardinals. Suzy follows the Astros on a whole another level of where we're like so dialed in on, and so Blue Jays fans have surely seen a lot more discussed and broken down than we have. We're just kind of from the zoomed out perspective, picking the pieces that make sense. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad that somebody found a spot for him. Obviously, I hope that he has the opportunity to be with the big league club. I don't know if it's again because it's so late in the season, but I was kind of surprised that it was a minor league deal. Like, I know Brandon Crawford is signed for $2 million with the Cardinals, and obviously he is also a badass motherfucker at the same age and point in his career as Joey Votto, but he's not a plus 100 OPS plus guy even. So I don't know. I'm very happy for Joey Votto. It seems like he's happy. Did you see the picture that he posted on his Instagram? I think maybe he just did it this morning, so maybe you haven't seen it yet, but it's him as a baby
Yes,
he has his
with the
Toronto Blue
bib.
Jays bib on. Oh my God. So
Yes.
that I like that storyline we are so here for.
Yep.
And yeah, I hope we get to see him with the big league club because there's a lot of guys that I obviously would go to any Blue Jays game to watch, but I would go even more. Maybe got to plan a trip up to Toronto to see Joey Votto now.
Yeah. So congrats, Joey Votto. No more shopping carts will be damaged. Thank goodness, because that was a worry of mine. But sadly, though, I kind of enjoyed social media Joey Votto. So maybe he'll just start making happy social media content.
Yeah.
I don't know. We shall
Keep
see.
it up, Joey. We need you. We need you there.
Side note, another guy that I was not aware was a badass motherfucker. Josh Donaldson.
I mean, with his attitude, because you knew he still has the attitude that he still holds on to that attitude that says, I'm a badass motherfucker. So yeah, you should have known.
I should have.
He did actually have to play to back it up at one point.
At some point in time when he was with the Yankees, I think I did Google Josh Donaldson and was like, oh, all right. Okay. I just apparently what dialed in my brain was the fact that apparently he wasn't a good teammate, or that was kind of the narrative around Josh Donaldson. Obviously that kind of has, been debunked by various players saying, no, we actually kind of like Josh Donaldson. And he does. He brings that kind of edge, that kind of fuck you attitude to a team. And some teams need that. But when he was playing with the Twins and obviously with the Yankees, I was not aware of the caliber of player that he was back in his quote unquote heyday. He was I think he was the 2015 MVP of the league.
Yeah, 2014 or 2015. That sounds right.
I'm like one of those years, obviously before Baseball Suzy, #before Baseball Suzy. So, the time when Andrelton Simmons was also a badass. Those times, before Baseball Suzy. So
2015 it was. You were
2015.
correct.
Okay. So, he was an awesome player at one time, and the bringer of rain is no longer the bringer of rain because he is retired. He's going to retire. And does it say what he's going to do? All I saw was that he was going to retire, and just I don't know.
Yeah, he has 2 daughters, I think. So prioritizing, just being able to do the things that he hasn't been able to do in terms of being home and being a dad and playing more golf is what I heard him say he's looking forward to doing. But yeah, he is still young and he's definitely a personality that's very connected in the industry. So I would not be surprised if we see more of him, whether it's kind of casually on the media side or
I need Josh Donaldson on a podcast.
But Josh,
I need Josh Donaldson
come on over.
If you want to co-host a podcast, Josh Donaldson, that will let you just be you, by all means.
I could
Hit
totally
a girl up.
see him getting into that. I'd
Yep,
listen.
for sure. So, but we're gonna end with this though. We're gonna end with not a guy that is going to retire anytime soon, but that is apparently going to play a different position. And we kind of touched on it earlier in the episode, but Mookie Betts is now the Dodgers shortstop, quote unquote, Dave Roberts, permanently for now. Sir, that is, I don't know if you know this or not, but those two are the like opposite ideas of what you want to happen. But the fact that Mookie Betts is just such an extraordinary athlete that he's like, all right, I'm gonna do the second base thing, and then I'm gonna go do the right field thing, but now I'm gonna do the shortstop thing. And in my head, apparently, you go from shortstop to second. You don't go from second to shortstop,
Right.
right?
Especially he's over age 30. Yeah. I mean, this guy,
And
he's
then,
so valuable on so many levels. It's unbelievable.
well, but then the first game that Mookie plays at shortstop, again at spring training, I know he tries to backhand a routine
Oh, I miss
catch
this.
that would have been like really with any other shortstop, and it went underneath his glove. Like it just bobbled it, and then it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look. And then he tried. Then I think it wasn't. I don't think it was the next play, but it was in the same game. Mookie got the routine ball and tried to feed it to Gavin Lux, now new second baseman, and Gavin Lux just bobbled it. And I
Oof.
think it was supposed to be like a double play, like a routine double play. So shortstop to second, second to first, and that throw was wide. And I hand up, I just wanted to be a petty bitch, and I'm gonna just say it right now. All of my Dodger people that I had asked, surely you cannot be comfortable with Max Muncy as your third baseman and Gavin Lux as your shortstop this season. Like, there's no
Yeah.
way that you, as like a discerning Dodger fan, taking your fandom out of it and just looking at it, are happy and are content. And they're like, no, Gavin Lux, are you kidding me? Oh, but no, he's gonna be fine. And I'm like, are you sure that you're really okay with that? Like infield defense, at this point in time, I wasn't trying to be a petty bitch. Now I'm being a petty bitch. Okay, stand up. Now I'm gonna be a petty bitch. That's what we do. That's what I do, right? Nanny, nanny, boo, boo. Even Dave Roberts agrees with me. That's what I need to do because how are you going to, as like a serious club, 18 days or not even 18 days because they go play the Padres in Korea sooner than that,
Yeah.
going to change all of the things and be like, Mookie, this is what we need you to do.
I mean, it really sucks because from my understanding, from what I've heard Ken Rosenthal talking about, is that Gavin Lux has the yips, and this is not the first time that this has necessarily happened with him, which I totally missed that and was not aware that that's something that he's dealing with. And I think a lot of people like to kind of undermine that as being a legitimate issue, but it
Mhm.
clearly very much is. It is difficult to explain the same way that any sort of mental health is hard to kind of it's not as tangible as like an injury,
Right.
as a physical injury, but yeah, it's not something that you can just assume like he will ever get over, let alone get over in the next 2 weeks. And I mean, kudos, I guess, to the Dodgers for an attempt to make it work. But yeah, it looks like they are lacking some depth for sure to just be able to make a different choice at this point.
They have some choices. Like Miguel Rojas is there.
Oh yeah.
And that was, I mean, like when Miguel Rojas was signed for his defensive abilities. I'm aware, obviously
Yeah.
not for the stick. But so Miguel Rojas is there, but there's no way that I think Miguel Rojas is like 34, 35 now. Like he obviously cannot play shortstop every single day. Chris Taylor also is there, but he played apparently he's a util player as well. So last season he played 28 games at third, 31 games at short, and 57 games in left field. So he's got some of those reps taken there too in more recent years than say
Yeah.
Mookie Betts. So just the fact that they literally have two other guys that shortstop is their actual position.
Yeah. It does seem like
They're
they're trying to make it a more permanent solution then, because why else would you, I mean, so that their lineup can stay the way that they want it to, which makes
yeah.
sense.
Well, so
But yeah.
I guess that pushes. I mean, obviously Jason Hayward and Teoscar Hernandez, I guess, are now the contingent over there in the corners, and then
Uh-huh.
James Outman, I guess, will be your everyday center fielder with Chris Taylor, I guess, getting
Yeah.
some reps out there. I don't know, but the fact that there are two actual other guys. Well, and then they just signed Kike.
Oh yeah. Oh, Kike's gonna get some hard playing time then.
There's Kike out there as well that got signed for vibes and not
And his
so
adaptability. That is interesting though, because they're yeah, I mean, I shouldn't speak to it because again, this is my very zoomed out perspective, but like Chris Taylor and Kike Hernandez are not they're not like late inning defensive replacement guys even. Like they
yeah,
weren't signed for their defensive adaptability. It's like Mookie Betts, if he wasn't also fucking star and like an MVP level player, he has the level of defense of a guy that you want as a utility player, but he is
yep,
not a utility player because he's an everyday player, no questions asked. So I get
yeah,
why they're trying to use his adaptability in their favor that like as long as he's in there every day, it doesn't matter where he's at. But I think the Dodgers organization would be also more than smart enough to realize that they need to give him that consistency to get that MVP level of play out of him, at least to
yeah,
some extent, which is why they utilized Chris Taylor the way they did more than Mookie. That way he didn't move around quite as much defensively. But yeah, I mean,
so
they have a plethora of options. None of
yeah,
them sound great.
we'll see what the Dodgers end up doing. Gavin Lux also got engaged over the last couple of
Oh,
days. So
congrats. You locked it
congrats,
up.
Gavin Lux. I don't know if that has anything to do with the yips. Maybe he was like nervous about
Yeah.
proposing to the girlfriend, and maybe now that's off of his plate. He'll feel better. I don't know. Dodgers fans holler at me. Let me know in the comments here or again on the social medias. But
It's definitely gonna
we
be a
shall see.
yeah, it's gonna be a interesting storyline to follow for that team that is completely unexpected.
Yeah. So everyone's saying, oh, now the Dodgers are definitely going to win all of the things. And do I fully expect the Dodgers to put up ridiculous numbers in the regular season? Absolutely. They're totally eclipsing their 100 win season from last season. But again, until the Dodgers prove otherwise, they are going to be a postseason going home team. I was going to try and say that more delicately, but then it left. So I don't know. I don't know. The Dodger fans, what are your thoughts? Tell me. But don't like yell at me. I mean, I guess you can. Whatever.
Yeah, we get it.
I'll
You're
be I'll
really
be cool.
good.
Yeah.
You're the envy of a lot of teams in a lot of ways, but this is one of the ways that maybe they're not. I don't envy their middle infield or even their corner infield situation when it comes right down to it. So,
Yeah. So, that's I don't know, just hand up. I want to say that I was right and you guys were wrong. That's all I'm saying. That will be the last time I'm
that was
saying
a
no
really
more.
good full circle way for you to like have the last word after you had to talk about the Dodgers so much at the beginning of this episode. Nice job.
Yeah. Love that for me. Yeah. So, but we are going to wrap up the episode. So, Kelsey, if anybody would like to chat with you on the socials about the Dodgers or the Cardinals or any other team, how can they do that?
I am most active with baseball content on the Twitter at KBirdTweets, KBURD tweets. I've got a nice little link tree there that will lead you to find my solo podcast, Peace, Love, and Baseball, on all of the podcast platforms, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. So yeah, hit me up on the Twitter or just Google Peace, Love, and Baseball, KBird tweets, and it's all the good stuff for you there.
Perfect. Not Dairy Daddies. We're not part of that organization. We just stay on a Dairy Daddy. But everyone's like, what the fuck, Suzy? Anyhow, social medias for the show and for me. Go find the show Twitter at Bourbon in B-ball. That's the if you are on YouTube, that's the one up there. Don't you can add the baseball underscore Suzy Q. I just don't ever use that for some reason. I still have a personal Twitter, but that's fine. And find all of the shows on Instagram and YouTube. And if you have not, please, for the love of poodles, give us a 5-star rating. Leave us all the nice words. Subscribe on the YouTubes. Our YouTube has actually got like 211 subscribers now. 200,
Wow.
I think we're over 200. We are past the 210 mark, and
Working our
that
way
warms
towards
my heart.
that. We're working our way towards Susie's set goal of 269. So
Mhm.
get us
Yep.
there.
Yes. I mean, if we're gonna put things out into the plethora of the ether of things and making things happen in reality, let's go for I don't know 1069. 1069.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah.
great. Please and
Mhm.
thank you.
I like that.
I would appreciate that. That would be so delightful. And we are still hanging tough on the Japan and Great Britain Apple Podcast charts. We have
Hmm.
fallen off of Spain and Korea, and for that, I apologize, and I'm so sorry. USA, I don't know where the fuck y'all are, but you're not apparently digesting all of the bourbon and baseball content like the other countries are, and that makes me sad for me, but basically for you because
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
fucking hysterical. So I don't know what y'all are doing over here, but Kelsey and I, we are killing it over here. So with that said, we are going to wrap it up. Side note, Trey Mancini, who will always be a 2022 World Series hero for me personally, and it should be for the Astros, but most of the Astros contingency will be like Trey Mancini, who, yeah, saved freaking all of the runs in that Philly game. He just hit a solo home run for the Marlins now in the spring
Oh.
training game against Ryan Presley, and that kind of warms my heart. So,
Oh, the
just there's
Marlins
a
are
side note.
also playing they must be split squad today because they're also playing the
Yeah,
Cardinals, so I was like, "Oh, Trey Mancini," and then you're like, "Hit a home run in the spring train." No, not that spring training game, so all good.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
Trey.
Yay, Trey. Yeah. So with that, we are going to wrap it up. Again, give us all the 5-star ratings. Give us all the nice words. Subscribe on the YouTubes. And yay, baseball. Woo! And record.